¿Qué tal? Buenos días, amigos. ¿Cómo están el día de hoy? Em, Mi nombre es Héctor Veytia y, como saben, colaboro con Amtech dentro de New Media. Y bueno, les quiero agradecer el tiempo para que nos estén acompañando en este evento y con una gran presentación de un muy estimado y valioso partner como es Elements. Elements, con quien siempre hemos estado trabajando algunas soluciones muy sorprendentes, muy robustas, muy especializadas dentro del sector de media y entretenimiento para la producción y postproducción de nuestros contenidos de forma profesional. El día de hoy va a estar acompañándonos Daniel Peters. Él es Vice President of Business Development dentro de Element, dentro de la compañía, y será quien nos platicará sobre la propuesta en específico de flujos de trabajo remotos, ¿no? Creo que es un gran tema y que es el día a día de todos nosotros con esta nueva, digamos, normalidad, ¿no? Entonces, cualquier cosa estarán apareciendo en pantalla nuestros contactos, correos y también la invitación para que visiten nuestras páginas, tanto la de Elements como la de Amtech. Okay, Danny, hi. It's a pleasure to have you here today with us and with the opportunity to hear from you talking about specifically the remote workflows and, well, all the information that you have to share with us.
Thank you, Hector. It's Danny from Elements. I'm going to share with you the workflow for Elements Satellite. What I will do for now is going to stop my video and then share my screen with you. So hopefully you can see that as a full screen with us there. We are Elements. We are a vendor for storage in media and entertainment, as well as workflow tools. Our expertise is interfacing media applications to storage for real-time workflows. And we really talk about human-centered media storage. We understand that different applications, different types of workflows, and what we'll be focusing on in the next few minutes are remote workflows with Elements Satellite. We work with partners around the world. We've got headquarters in Germany, offices in London and Hollywood, and we work with partners like Hector at Amtech all over the world. And really a summary of the storage platforms and the workflow tools that we provide: collaboration, asset management, automation, storage management, and of course, what we're here to talk about today, remote workflows. And the idea is that we want people to access their content from wherever they are and be able to work productively. So what does that look like? Well, in this illustration, that means having some storage, element storage on premise, maybe with a media asset manager as shown here. You could have PCs, Windows, Linux workstations connected to that. But really you want to work beyond your firewall and have internet access so you could have remote users access the storage and be productive. And really, this is where Elements Satellite comes in. What is it? It is a remote access tool. It works with very high frame rates, up to 60 frames per second, and super low latency. And it's purpose-built for media and entertainment. So practically what that means is that you can have dual monitors, 2 monitors, 4K resolutions, 60 frames per second. So if the remote access that you're requiring for people editing on Adobe Premiere or on Avid, they can use 2 monitors, pen and tablet, but just with mouse and pen controls with that, or with a mouse control and then and monitors. We integrate this into the Elements client app, which people use for our storage, and there's very high security and encryption and permissions management. Elements Satellite works with both Mac OS host and client machines and Windows host and client machines. And so there are a range of remote access tools out there. What makes Elements Satellite different is that it is based on GPU streaming technology. So in the background, we're using the Parsec SDK, Parsec are known for their low latency streaming technology for gamers. Elements has used that in the background, and we've written the Mac OS side of this and added other tools and incorporate that into the Elements client. So your host machine will have GPU encoding for H.264 that is captured, and we stream the entire desktop via high-performance UDP protocol. And that allows us to get some very low latencies indeed. Let's take a look at the kind of overall picture, including the kind of summary of the security that's involved here. So this picture showing in the bottom left-hand corner, your host machine. That could be your Mac, or it could be your Windows machine. Then there is a connection broker. And what the satellite connection broker, it's a software utility that can be virtual or run on an existing element system. And it uses port 443 to do handshaking and performance and host name verification. So when a client, a remote client, is trying to connect to the host machine, they go through the Element satellite connection broker, and then once that connection is established, then we stream the desktop from the host to the client. And so we're able to set that up to establish automatic UDP stream. And this is, for the firewall rules that you can set to make sure that those specific ports are opened to stream the desktop from your facility to the clients connecting. Now, there is encryption that is used in that communication from host to client. So all of the audio, video, input data is encrypted via DLS or AES 128, 128-bit encryption is used in that. So a very secure way of actually working. You're not sending any media to the cloud. You're simply encoding and streaming the desktop. A couple of things I want to point out about the satellite broker. I said it can be virtual. For instance, we can host the satellite brokers for 10 users in Microsoft Azure. You may also want to, if you have multiple users that you want to control, maybe 50, 100 users, then there are other ways of looking at where you can put that connection broker. Or it may be just for security reasons, you want a virtual instance of the Elements connection broker, which can be run on a gateway behind your firewall inside your facility, so that it maintains your security rules for your clients that you're working for.
Yeah, Danny.
Yes.
And maybe I want to highlight what you mentioned the last slide and the last two slides about the technology and as a specialized remote access tool for media entertainment for these post-production and production workflows for our clients to be relaxed about this. It's a specialized remote access tool with all the security and flexibility and the understanding of these workflows, right? That's why they develop, or you develop this technology in order to get these results, right?
That is correct. We understand not just only that people need the flexibility of remote access, but it has to be in a very secure environment. And so that is why the streaming of that encoded desktop is done to the highest security levels. We use bank level encryption on that stream from the host to the client.
Yeah, great. Let me translate here in Spanish. Okay. Aquí estamos hablando de una inscripción de tipo flujo bancario, ¿no? Para que estemos tranquilos con la transferencia o el movimiento de la señal desde nuestro host hasta nuestros clientes y tranquilos de que nuestro contenido está seguro y está siendo tratado con la mayor seguridad, la mayor tecnología de encripción posible para estos propósitos, ¿no? Yeah, Danny, keep
Okay.
going. Thank you.
Alrighty. Thank you. So then, yes. So one of the other key benefits of satellite is that we can have multiple client machines connected to the host. So that means that even though it is encoding and streaming the host desktop to the client, you can have multiple clients connected to the host. In practical terms, it means people can work from home, they can connect from anywhere they are in the world. One of the great things is all of the applications can work on original high-res media. So with satellite, you're working on the actual content. You don't need to have a proxy workflow or asset uploads. And it means that you can distribute your workforce. So you can work across the country, across the world without the needing to travel. You could have your infrastructure at your main facility in Mexico City, but production staff could be in Puebla, Chapultepec, they could be in Vancouver, in Miami, anywhere that you are. And because you can do live review and approval sessions, it makes it very practical. With satellite, you can manage all of the remote connections from one web user interface. You can see who's connected at what time. It'll work within your security systems so that if you have Open Directory, Active Directory, or LDAP to verify your users' connections, that will also work with the users on satellite, so we can fit into your own security protocols that way. But it also means that you don't have to send content for review and approval, because satellite allows multiple clients to connect to the same host. So if I was the editor and I'm working with Hector as my director, I'm working with external clients, we can all see my desktop live to do that review and approval without sending content elsewhere. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
as is mentioned, the over-the-shoulder review workflow, right?
Yes, yes.
Great.
And of course, there are some other use cases where people are looking at cloud-based workstations. We're having some conversations with a number of companies now that's saying, hey, we want to look at using either Azure or AWS and cloud instances for our edit workstations. And we're able to use an Elements gateway to coordinate with the storage. And this is a good example where Elements Satellite can be used in these new ways of working with cloud infrastructure as well. So a range of different ways of working. And what's really cool about satellite is that you get to try it. So you can contact Amtech ourselves to try Elements Satellite. We do a 14-day trial in which we will set up a broker within Microsoft Azure, and we'll give you 5 host licenses that you can use in your own environment. And then you can come back to Amtech and decide, hey, these are the number of licenses and this kind of configuration that you need for your environment. A couple of things I just also want to mention about those host licenses and the way they work is that you're able to have some flexibility there. Most of the satellite customers have an annual subscription, but there are certain productions that may require that for a shortened period of time. So we allow host licenses to have a minimum of 3 months. So for certain productions and certain customers, that provides some flexibility.
Yeah, as you mentioned, it's very flexible because of the productions. We don't have, or maybe we don't have a unstable workflow or a way to work over the year, a complete year, over 2 years, and we have a small production maybe, and we can have this flexibility of 3 months working with satellite.
Absolutely, yes. And there's another bit of operational flexibility that this gives you. Let's say that you're changing workstations or that you need to move a host license to another machine, then the way the licensing works is that the license is tied to the host workstation for the duration of 1 month or part of that month. So when the new month starts, when it's the first of the new month, a license can be moved from one host machine to a new host machine. So again, it gives us some flexibility as we go through the different ways of working with staff, particularly if we're working with freelance staff.
Great, great. So we see that this management is powerful, but it's also flexible, and it gives us a smooth remote working and as flexible as we need it.
Absolutely.
Great.
Absolutely. So yes, whether you're working from home or working on location, or you're doing live review and approval sessions, or even that your workflow may be more virtual, that it's in the cloud and you're using Elements Gateway to coordinate their storage. There's zero infrastructure set up with these cloud-based workstations. Satellite fits into all of those environments. And as we're saying earlier on, we have a program that allows you to have a trial, a proof of concept to use satellite within your own environment.
Great. That is great. And I think this is the best way to try it, right? Because we are not talking about Zoom sessions or remote desktop sessions. It's a different technology specialized for this kind of workflows.
You're absolutely right. So one of the things that you get with satellite is not only that 4K dual monitor 60p working, not only that you can have multiple clients, but the low latency, maybe I should explain that a little bit more, is that we are working with video and audio, and you want that low latency across great distances so that you can play your content back in sync with video and audio. And that is really part of the difference with this solution. And of course, there are many people using satellite on Mac OS where they haven't found other solutions to work at that quality and at that low latency, and satellite provides that.
Yeah, right. And maybe we can talk about the requirements about the internet connection that we need to work with this low latency technology. Because here, here in Mexico, we not always have a very fast internet connection, but I think it's very easy to use, and the specification, the requirements are not too high.
Yes, that is correct. Most of us working from home are, using either a modem to do that, depending on who our internet service provider is. With satellite, if you can have a wired connection to your workstation, that is advisable, but we also use it over Wi-Fi. 10 megabits per second is what we recommend as your minimum connection. On average, if you can get to 30 megabits per second, that is good. But we will say for the minimum for your host machines and for your clients, the minimum that will work with is 10 megabits per second. And so for most people, and I know in Mexico, that is going to be more than achievable. They'll be able to get up to 25 to 40 megabits per second on their ISP providers. So it'll work even with very low connection speeds.
Yeah, that's great, Danny. That's not an obstacle to try it and to work with this smooth remote working workflow, right?
Exactly. You're absolutely right.
Perfect, perfect, Danny. I don't know, maybe anything you want. About the mix. You told us that it works on Mac and on Windows, and that's great because in your workflow you have different workstations running on Windows and other workstations running on Mac, and you can mix them to put, if you will need 2 Macs and 3 Windows, or another way, and you can work with that, right?
That is correct. We have many customers with a mixed environment. And so the idea is you just choose your host machines, Mac, or Windows, and you can have that mixed environment. So as you said, you can have some that are Mac OS based and some that are Windows based, and satellite works happily with both. We have a lot of customers working with mixed operating systems in their environments using satellite.
Perfect, perfect. It's okay because it depends on the workflow, and every workflow is different, and you can have all the benefits for the Mac OS software and the Windows software, the Windows applications, and you can mix it through Element Satellite and work remotely the way you want.
Exactly. Exactly. It is a very versatile tool. We've got, and the whole reason of the trials is that for people to see that, yes, in my environment, this works very well. And they can then come back to Amtech, come back to us and say, okay, this is how we want to move on. And, there are things to consider in terms of the benefits. You are streaming the desktop. You're not having to move any content, and you're able to work with the original quality of the content with the workstations connected to your storage without having to work in a proxy environment if you don't need to.
Yeah, that's right. You don't have to move your media, that it's time, that
Yeah,
it's infrastructure requirements to do it on time. And
yeah,
you can work even with the highest resolution of your media. You don't have to generate proxy to transcode everything we are used to in order to move this media. We can
that is
do it
correct.
directly with Element Satellite.
That is absolutely correct, yes.
That's great. That's great. Well, I think, and the invitation again a todos nuestros amigos, la invitación a que se acerquen a nosotros para coordinar este periodo de prueba y lo vivan, este trabajo, este flujo de trabajo remoto, edición remota o cualquiera que sea, en sus propias instalaciones, con sus equipos, con sus proyectos y se acerquen a nosotros. The invitation, Danny, for all our friends to come to Amtech and have
Yes.
use this 14-day trial available.
Absolutely, yes. Do that. Just contact Amtech and let us know when you want to start that trial, and we will then provide for that trial not one but 5 host licenses that you can use across multiple workstations in your environment to test this for real.
Perfect. No una, cinco licencias para que lo prueben en la forma en que lo necesiten, con la plataforma que quieran. Perfect, Danny. It's great, and well, I hope that the people use it, try it, because you get in love when you try it. As we mentioned, it's not a Zoom session, a remote desktop. You have to try it, to work with it, to see this technology working on your workflow.
Yes, indeed. Thank you guys very much, and we look forward to getting your feedback as you try this in your environment.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you for joining us and to share this information with us. We are going to keep in touch with you, and I hope we do a lot of trials with our clients.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
See you later, Danny. Y bueno, muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy con Element Satellite. Los invitamos a que se acerquen, a que pidan este periodo de prueba para que lo coordinemos. Es muy fácil, muy rápido y prueben no una, sino 5 licencias y las puedan mezclar como ustedes quieran. Muchas gracias. Estarán apareciendo en pantalla los datos de contacto y pues esperamos, será un gusto para nosotros poderlos atender. Muchas gracias y nos vemos en otro video. Hasta luego.